So the temptation when you do create a team is that you
Formula
want to...
One, a new season and a new...
So when you're creating a team, you obviously have the different origins, and people, I think, don't always think about the impact that your origins can have. And one of those two things that you really want to think about is your team rating, but also your driver rating. Those two things affect marketability, and marketability is a thing that is going to dictate how many sponsorship offers you have available, and also how good those sponsorship offers are. And driver marketability is not just based on driver quality, it's based on the reputation of the driver. So if we go through and just look at, say, how we would be doing on this start, so this is the Phoenix Rising start. In terms of drivers, if we look at some of our driver availables, what we want to know is the stat that it's not going to tell us, which is what is their marketability, which you'd think actually it should probably put out on this page somewhere. Now, generally speaking, if you're set on this as a guide, you can always start the game up and then have a look and create one. But established drivers have a higher level of marketability than existing drivers. So if we were doing something on this, I would probably be looking at, rather than taking a balance of two young drivers, even though both are potentially quite promising, I would probably really be looking at either someone like Logan Sargent or Kevin Magnussen, because they're actually quite established. And by being established drivers, they're going to come in with a higher marketability rating. So let's go with Magnussen for car 1. Probably do is, let's say we go Liam Lawson with car 1 and we go Kevin Magnussen for car 2. Drivers are the only thing that carries a marketability rating. Staff doesn't, so you'd be setting up your staff however you want to do. Go skip past team branding because it's just practice. I am Mr. Team Principal, experienced manager. And I'm going to start the game. Now, marketability really, really matters. We have 20 million in the bank on this save. That's nice. It's not a bad up front. In 6 days, we're going to get a sponsor negotiation. If we have a look at Kevin Magnussen's stats. Give me your stats, Kevo. Should show me somewhere here his marketability. There we go. He has a marketability of 67. Let's have a look at Liam Lawson's marketability, 61. So we've got a little bit more marketability out of Magnussen than we've got out of Lawson, and that does make a difference. If you're on the 3-star drivers, you have a lot more choice in terms of marketability. The other thing you want to watch for is you've got 6 days here until your sponsor negotiations begin. Depending on what starts you've gone with, you really, really want to get your marketability up pretty quickly if you want to get better sponsor deals. So actually, if you look at something like the Tour Center, it's 12 day upgrade, and it costs only 150. It gives you an extra 0.8 on your marketability. Not going to be useful for this round of sponsor negotiations, definitely going to be useful for next year. Memorabilia room takes 7 days, you're not going to get it in time, but again, that's a fair whack of marketability boost that I could do ahead of next season just by boosting these things once. Similarly, helipad, 10-day upgrade, marketability plus 10 on top of what you've got there. Hospitality area, marketability increased up to 80, that's a 96 grade upgrade. Boardroom, upgrade. Relatively cheap, does a race confidence game and team attractiveness, not as useful starting out. So marketability is a key thing to push early and is relatively cheap to push. So I would normally be pumping these out, you know, getting them down, getting them going. Especially Tour Center because it's so cheap. It's not the income that's benefiting you, it's the team marketability. Why does that matter? Let's skip forward our 6 days to our sponsor negotiation. When we go to our sponsor negotiation, the level of sponsors that are available here, you can tell from the ranking, is based on our marketability combined with our driver's marketability combined with our reputation. So if you combine all those things together, you're going to get different and better sponsorship packages overall. Now, the mistake people make in this game now versus 23 is most people are underrepresenting how much they need to ensure they have race day income. Because they see this thing here that says performance reliance moderates. They probably go, oh, actually, when I start out, I don't want to do a lot of that. Now, if I went for this main sponsor package, I'm getting a race day potential total package of 38 million. But actually what that's really meaning is if you divide that by 24 races and you knock off a chunk for the fact you're going to go for the medium option on it each time on the race things, which you'll see a bit later on my other saves, then actually you're going to make some good money. The real temptation is to go, you know what, I want lots of upfront money. And particularly if you're going with a start where you don't have a lot of facilities, you might do that. It's fine. You just need to remember that this means your main sponsor is not going to be giving you a lot of race day and engagement funding. And without race day and engagement funding, you're going to need to stash some of that upfront cash because actually you're going to need it for development improvements throughout the season. You're really, really front loading your money. So don't get greedy and think, oh, the higher the upfront, the better. If you are going to go with a strong upfront package, make sure that your optional sponsors are ones that actually are going to give you other benefit. So on this one, for example, I would now be probably biasing towards engagement, because in season 1, if you're not worried too much about the impact that the engagement events, like VIP events and all those kind of things are going to have on your actual rate, on your driver ratings and everything else, take some high engagement stuff. And again, you'll notice the star ratings on these. This is again because it's based on what companies are prepared to work with us, based on our marketability, our team reputation, and our driver marketability. So right now for this one, I'd probably be saying actually that's a decent engagement package. I'm going to take that. I do have 5 sponsors to choose from. If I had a less marketability rating, that might be down to 4. Might only have less options on this box here to pick from. Even though I could get potentially lots, I might only get 4, I might get 5. If I'm a good team, I get 6. So for our first slot, we took something that's good on engagement. For this one, I'm going to scout around a bit and go, you know what, actually that serpent one's looking pretty good, because that's one that's going to give me big race day bonuses. I'm then probably going to look for something that is reasonably balanced. So we're going to take that one, and we're going to take a lot more engagement money, and it'd be nice to get a bit more up front if we can. Yeah, we can get 3 million up front from that, but actually I think we'll go more balanced. No, we'll go race again. So if you're going with an upfront main package, try and balance that out down here, or indeed vice versa. If you're going for a race package up here because you know your car is going to be good and you can deliver on it, then you can afford to maybe do some upfronts and everything else. So it's really going to come into play a lot more in season 2, when the amount of money you're going into the start of the season with might actually influence whether you take some upfront stuff versus some non-upfront stuff. But just remember that when you're setting your team up, this is where your money is going to come from, and what you're going to decide where your kind of balance of money is going to come from. You can't microfinance your bonuses on races themselves to anywhere near the level you could before. So just get your sponsorship packages right here, because otherwise you're going to end up needing to restart, because you'll only be making, if you've got low race day income, you're only going to be making 200 grand off of a race, and that's no money at all. And then you're going to be entirely reliant on your 6-week engagement brackets, which is what's going to give you money for these things, and whatever monthly cash you're getting off the board, which almost certainly will mean that you're only ever a few part breakages or a crashed car away from having 0 cash by about week 6-7 of the season. So I just be wary of taking too much up front. Do make sure you get some good race day and some good engagement money, no matter what you're doing. So this is what I was talking about why you want to make sure you've got better balance of your sponsorships, because you'll now see that actually race rewards in this game and race targets are different to race targets in the last game. So in the last game, you'd have a lot more options here. You'd be able to set individual targets for qualifying, for overall race performance, for streaks over multiple races. This game extrapolates that back and really just says, okay, tell me where you're going to finish in the race, like make some decisions. What that does mean is you lose the flexibility to kind of get points or get money for some elements of your targets and not for others. It's a lot more winner takes all. And that means that you do want to make sure you're balancing your sponsorships so that you do have the ability to get a reasonable amount of money, even on your low end selections at the beginning of the season. So we're actually going to go for the mid one on this driver here, for example. But actually, based on Nico's performance in the last race in this save, I'm actually going to put him down to 13th. Now, because we've got good race target bonuses set based on our sponsorship packages, this means that even in season 1, we're going to be able to make about 800 grand a race. And that soon adds up when you've got 24 races over the course of a season. So it's a thing that really, really can catch people out if they're used to playing 23 or 22 and they come to 24, is they expect to have more ability to make money in a granular way on a race weekend than you do get in this game. So that just means that you need to be much cleverer about setting up your initial sponsorship package and not get lured in by the benefits of lots of cash up front, because otherwise you're just going to be reliant on your every 6-week engagement money. You won't have race income, and race income is critical here. So this is why it's worth just making sure you've got some race targets in there, even if you're not planning on really going to town on them, because you just need to know that even on your lowest tier of target, you're going to make some income. And here we see the outcome of that. So basically we got our 9th or higher there and our 13th or higher there. So we went with 1 medium, 1 low. And actually that meant we got 885 grand. So you just need to make sure you set some good, plentiful race bonuses so that you can afford to be a bit flexible in how you balance these out. So I will often, certainly on the starting season, will run with someone on the medium expectation and someone on the low expectation. Because what you're trying to do there is just guarantee that barring race accidents, you are at least making some money. And I think that makes a huge difference. So this is why you just want to get that balance right between upfront and race. And you need to just remember that you don't have the ability to micro it as much as you used to.